And now, CRM Audio presents Captain Red Lace's Power BI Corner with Business Solutions MVP Scott Sewell.
This episode of Captain Red Lace's Power BI Corner is brought to you by our friends at Kingswaysoft. Kingswaysoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 65 countries and regions rely on Kingswaysoft to integrate data with various application systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. Kingswaysoft is a leading provider of Microsoft Dynamics integration software, including Dynamics 365, CRM, AX, NAV, GP, SL, as well as many other applications such as Marketo, Dropbox, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. Whether you need one solution or several, Kingswaysoft works easily within the SSIS platform to make your integration process as quick and easy as possible. Many of their clients have seen 3 to 10 times greater data integration performance after switching to the SSIS integration toolkit. We thank Kingswaysoft for their support of Captain Red Lace's Power BI Corner.
Hello, Scott. Welcome to another Power BI podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We're looking forward to this.
We're getting feedback from our listeners.
Excellent.
Isn't that exciting?
Hopefully it's good feedback.
Yeah, actually they're asking questions. So had one listener question for you for this episode, and this comes from Erwin Sanders, who is in hometown Emmen, Netherlands. So someplace I've never been, but it sounds lovely.
Sounds like a good place. Some good friends in the Netherlands, yeah.
If I ever go there, I'm looking Erwin up. But Erwin asks, can you talk about the licensing, specifically the Pro versus the Power BI and Power BI Pro, and what are some scenarios where you need Pro versus just normal Power BI?
Oh, yeah. Good question, although it's not my favorite topic. Anytime of licensing, as a developer, you just want to, just use the developer edition. It has everything, and you're off to the races. But Power BI and Power BI Pro, there is quite a bit of confusion over what is available for what. Let's break it down a little bit and talk about what's available on the desktop. On the desktop, there's one version. It's Power BI Desktop. You get everything. It's all good. I think you can do everything you want to with that desktop version. Create reports to your heart's content. That's all good. And there's not a Pro version of the desktop versus a light version of the desktop. So having said that, let's step up to once you take what you've done in the Power BI desktop and publish it to PowerBI.com. That's where you get into the where you can share your desktop or share your reports with other people. Your dashboards with other people, and that's where you have this difference between a free license and a Pro license. Having said that, before I go into it any further, the best place to get information on it is if you go to powerbi.microsoft.com and look for pricing, and there's a pricing page. It's on mine it's /en-us/pricing because I'm in the US, the English version of that. But if you go to the Power, there is a page and it does a table of comparisons between powerbi.com Pro and free. Well, couple of differences between the two that you'll experience. For the most part, you can do a whole lot with a free version. There's a lot of power and availability that's there. However, you got some limitations. The size of the data that's consumed, 1 gig versus 10 gig on the Pro, which makes in basic sets of data, like if you're reporting off of an average size CRM implementation, you could probably partition your stuff off and say I can get it all in with a gigabyte. And plus all that data, once it goes into PowerBI.com, the engine inside of Power BI compresses it very, very, very efficiently, and so you get you can squeeze a lot of data into 1 gigabyte. Couple things beyond that is when you have this thing published to the PowerBI.com, one of the things you want to do is you want that data to be refreshed, right? Obviously. On the free version, you will allow you to schedule a refresh once a day. The Pro version will allow you to schedule it up to every hour to get more up-to-date data if that's necessary. Could be a difference there. Streaming data, if you get into streaming, that's a kind of an interesting. By the time you get into streaming, you're probably going to be wanting to use a Pro license anyway. But there's a little bit of a difference between the two, 10,000 rows per hour versus 1,000,000 rows per hour. But again, the streaming is probably a little bit more advanced, so most of those users are going to be Pro anyway. One of the pieces that I ran into this week was consuming live data sources within Interactivity. So I'm working on a project for an internal project for the company I work for, and I'm connecting Power BI to an analysis services sitting in Azure. So Azure Analysis Services, connecting Power BI to that and using a live connection, meaning that as soon as I open the dashboard, it's reading the data directly from Analysis Services. It's not, when I open the dashboard, it's not reaching out and saying, okay, download, refresh this data to me. It's saying, give it to me instantly, as opposed to, like I said, doing an hourly refresh. So I built it as such, and using that live connection, that's a Pro-only version of that. So, when I said the consume data that's being scheduled for refresh, in this case, I'm using a live connection, so I don't even have a data refresh issue. It's just every time I open the data, every time I open the dashboard, it's there. So that's a Pro-only version of that. Again, it's pretty cool, but it's not available for the free. And then finally, the one that most people will run into occasionally is accessing on-premise data using the gateway. So for instance, if I have, let's say that I'm working in a corporate environment, I've got my SQL sitting inside of my firewall, and I'm working, my Power BI my dashboard is connecting that and consuming it inside my the Power BI desktop, consuming it directly. That's all fine. Once I publish that to PowerBI.com, PowerBI.com has to be able to read from that SQL database in order to have the refreshed data, right? In order for it to do that, it uses a tool called the Enterprise Gateway, the Data Connectivity Gateway. And there's a new version of that was just released. And that allows data to come from an on-premise source and be picked up and processed by PowerBI.com. And so it handles this whole handshaking thing and security between them, and it allows the two to talk to each other. That's a Pro-only version, a Pro-only piece. So if your data, let's say that your data is pointing to data that's in the cloud already, maybe it's your HTTP, I can't say that. Maybe you're doing a web source as part of your source of data. You don't have to have the data gateway for that, but if you want that to connect to something that's on premise, you'll need that data gateway, and that is a Pro-only version. Now, in my case, one of the pieces that I did, since I'm connecting from from Power BI as a service, and I'm connecting that to Azure Analysis Services in the cloud, I'm going from cloud to cloud. I don't actually need the data gateway, so that's kind of an advantage there. Other than that, I think some of the other tools, nice being able to publish it and share your dashboard within Office 365 groups. I'm doing that with some of our teams. Content packs, shared queries. I mean, it kind of gets into some more esoteric things. They're very helpful, and they're really useful for if you're working within an organization. Those are very pro-oriented tools, or pro-oriented features. However, again, let me back up to the very beginning and say, if you're just working off a Power BI desktop at your desktop, you're on your own with you can rock and roll with the free license. Get up to speed, learn it. You don't have to buy anything to get build competency there. It's really when you start saying, okay, I've mastered this. I am going to start rolling this out into my work group or my organization. that's when a pro license becomes appropriate.
So it's really, there's nothing you can't do with Power BI license as far as types of data and modeling things and using the desktop. But when you get to the case where you've got a lot of records that you need to stream and other things like that, you'll know it when you need the the higher license.
Yeah. So I mean, consider the desktop version just a wide open development stack. I mean, development area where you can go crazy building it all out. In fact, a lot of people will find a good amount of value in the desktop license. I mean, the desktop install by itself, and that's a free install. Just go to PowerBI.com or PowerBI.Microsoft.com and download and install that and go to town.
And of course, I need the professional version because I'm a professional.
Yes, I think we all do. That's my the funny thing is, occasionally you'll see questions that come out and say, "Well, I really want to take Power BI and it's providing a lot of value. I want to share that to my whole organization, but I don't want to pay for it. How can I use the free in order to share it with the whole organization?" And then I hear suggestions about the embedded version and about, copy it up into a VM. I mean, sometimes you go, I don't know if you're rolling it out to an organization and people are getting benefit from it. Maybe it's worth paying for. It's $10 a month US. So it's not like Tableau where the desktop license is extremely expensive. This is really more of a service. And hey, if the service if it's not providing value, you just turn it off and say I don't need the license for this anymore. But if it's providing value, it's worth it. That's my 10 cents.
Erwin, thanks for your question. And
Thank
Erwin,
you.
we would encourage you to play with the free version, get to know it, get to love it, get familiar with it, and then when you come to scenarios that are more complex, you need professional, it'll probably become pretty clear that you need it.